a strong team of stakeholders on the National Good Governance Tour to Anambra State. The team is led by the NUG National President because of the strong media component of what we are doing. You can see also that representatives from the presidency, from the security services, and of course, an array of journalists from all the nation's big media houses who are here with us. Of significant note also that we have the NCWS of Nigeria to see what people are doing across the country for the welfare of the people. The team has a strong social media presence. And as I'm talking to you now, I'm sure it's going straight into all the social media platforms. So it has a global reach. And whenever we enter a particular state, the international attention is arrested and the global community is following. Why are we on a nationwide good governance tour? As Your Excellency will remember, this tour was decided upon by the federal and state governments. It was designed by 3 federal ministries: Minister of Information, the Minister of National Planning, actually 2 ministries, and the Office of the Special Advisor to the President on Performance Monitoring. When we finished the design and presented it to the Federal Executive Council, accepted that we should table it before the National Economic Council to get the buy-in of all the 36 governors, which I did. And let me thank you for your personal support when this matter came to the National Economic Council. We are truly very grateful. Now, after the governors adopted it, that again, as you remember, with the Nigerian Governors Forum, and retabled a program which was thrashed out, and the governors brought in their input secretariats. So we redesigned it to accommodations of the governors so that it will be a one program for the whole country. Now, we agreed that this tour, Excellency, is not partisan. It's not about ABBA or PDP or ACN or CPC or NPP or there's so many other political parties that you have to go to the records to remember. So the tour is about development. It's about assessing the progress of our democracy. And development is non-partisan. When you build a market, it's not only members of one political party that will come to that market, or a hospital. So we are discussing development. That is the whole purpose of the tour. Why did we decide this? Because we found, Your Excellency, as you will see here, that although democracy is the best form of government, it is only an instrument. The end result of democracy is development and the welfare of the people. And politicians that we are very good at undermining each other because of the next election. And so you find that most of the debate in the country, discussions on television, newspapers, is always about personalities. Somebody abusing the governor, or the governor disagreeing with somebody, or some big wigs in Abuja attacking each other. Those are the things that catch the headlines. Hardly are we able to return back to discuss development programs, projects, processes, and follow the people to hear their views about what we are doing. If you pick some newspapers, you will just imagine that some governors are doing nothing at all. As if since you were elected, you have not done anything. Again, that is indeed the lot of democracy, because democracy runs on the principle of competition for power. Most of the time, those who are opposed to you will continue only to look at the bad side so that they could replace you, which is okay. But we believe also that side by side with this, we as a political class should come together to accept that we need to work together. All of us cannot be on the governor's seat or the president's seat, on the councillor's seat at the same time. All over the world, once elections are over, politicians give themselves space to work. So the whole purpose of an election is that those who are elected are now going to offer services and work for people. So they give themselves at least 3 years to do some work. But in our country, because our democracy is new, most of the time you finish an election, people are already campaigning for the next election, and they don't want work to be done. So we decided that we can't go this way, because we need to carry our people along and work for them. So the purpose of this tour is to return national attention to development. No matter which parties, whatever ideologies we hold, it is about development. So this tour is therefore aimed at exposing and publicizing those development initiatives, programs, projects for the welfare of the people being implemented by the federal government, state governments, and local governments. So for all the places we have gone, North Central states, now North Southeast, which is the second zone, each state we go, we try to reach as many places as possible based on the list made available to us by the state and local governments to see your projects. So we will tour all those projects in the next 2 days, look at as many as we can in all the sectors of your state economy: education, transportation, health, hospital, social services, and so on, infrastructure. The idea is to see and tell the people what is happening and let the national team assess the progress in every state. We will also visit federal projects, because there are many federal projects in Anambra State that are going on. And because the federal government is very large and is working all over Nigeria, most of the time people hardly get to know what projects are taking place in their states. So it's important we show them to you, because federal projects don't belong to the federal government does not have citizens of its own. So when we build a project in a particular state, it's for the people of that state. We don't have a separate constituency. So it's important that our citizens begin to look at those projects and take ownership. That's why we're showing them out. Take ownership. If they are not going well, we need to know. You need to intervene. So there are several federal projects that are going on. Your Excellency, I was here with the President last year when we commissioned the Onitsha inner river port. And when I was here, I saw quite a number of significant developments. The private sector intervention in Anambra State. We commissioned 2 factories that day around Onitsha alone. And I was very, very elated, because governance is now not what it used to be. The most important achievement of a governor may not be the project you did, but how much of private sector intervention you have brought to the development of your state. The economy is now private sector driven. We want to see the creativity of our leaders in encouraging citizens to set up enterprises and develop their states. And I know, sir, that the Igbo nation is unique when it comes to private sector intervention. And that is why when we come to the Southeast, we are happy. You have a strong work ethic, and you are very industrious, and you are daring when it comes to private sector intervention. So the rest of the nation will also like to see some of the progress we are making here. The other issue that concerns members of the team is the question of peace and security. Because, as Your Excellency will remember, we can never achieve anything if there is no peace and tranquility. Nothing can be achieved. So the Anambra at the beginning of this democracy was almost lawless. Very, very lawless. Because of the crisis we had. Crisis of succession, crisis of, crimes around this area particularly. But let me say that Anambra is looking much calm now. Which means that there has been a lot of effort to bring about peace and security. I remember when I came here during your re-election, I came as a private person and were those who conducted I'm sure you may have forgotten, who were the one who moderated the debate between you and your other candidates. And I remember you saying that time that when you came, you saw Bakassi was almost turning this place into a hostage community. And that you have now decided to return to re-energize the Nigerian police force and work with security agencies. Today we are witnessing the result of that intervention. If the Igbo nation can overcome some of the isolated cases of criminality which continues to deter investors from coming sometimes. If we can focus on providing security, reducing crime rates, and learning to go the best way of doing things, I can tell you that in the next 10 years, you'll become the Taiwans of Nigeria. Because I am sure, I've been to Aba, and today we'll be visiting Onitsha, and I know that you people have it. But you cannot move. What moves nations is that there is a due process where everybody follows. Then you will see that your development will be faster, the welfare of the people will increase. And I know that right now, everybody is focusing on reducing crime rate, introducing due process, and creating a common ground for people to compete. It is very, very important for the transformation of Igbo land and for the transformation of Nigeria. If you do not know the importance of peace, I wish when we are touring some other northern states, you will follow us and see the disaster that has occurred in our own part of the country, which used to be the most peaceful, where everybody we are harvesting, unfortunately, the misfortune of crisis. And we don't want that kind of development to go to any other part of Nigeria. Let's say if there is fire on your neighbor's house, you should keep water close to your own. Don't allow that fire to come close to you. The north is suffering severely, seriously. Economic activities are disrupted in Borno, Yobe, and Kano, which is our largest commercial city. So most of the national growth now is being led by the south because of the tranquility and the peace you have here. So it's important that you maintain this peace and remember that we know if there is progress here, it is progress for the whole of Nigeria, not only for Igbo people. That is why we must continue to be interested in what happens here to maintain the peace while we try to overcome our own difficulty. Finally, Your Excellency, Anambra is a state of possibilities. It is a unique part of Igbo land where some of our best national leaders have been produced. Each time we come here, we come with a lot of history. The great Zik, who stood alone on the high altar of nationalism. We can't forget him. When I read his book, My Odyssey, the struggle he waged to go to the United States in the 1920s, when it was so difficult to move, became a policeman in Ghana by default. Before moving on to the United States, I am elated by that struggle to earn education, the struggle for learning. And of course, the great Achebe that stands alone in the world of the quintessential novelist for this continent. We've read the stories of deep Igbo land from Things Fall Apart, Arrow of God, Man of the People. We are very, very elated to be here. And of course, the great and only Ekemba. So you can see this state is unique. You have a history, you have a civilization, and we will want you to make progress at a very rapid race. If you can move faster and consolidate on what you are doing here, I believe that this country will be a much better place. We want to show the best examples to the country where things are working. The idea of the good governance tour is that when we see good practices and as we publicize, many other people will learn from it. And I'm sure as we go to the rest of the country, as you follow, you will also see that there are many things for you to learn from other parts of Nigeria. This is a great and beautiful country. There is no country like it in the world. If only we can learn from each other and work as brothers and sisters, this will be truly a great country. I bring to you the special greetings of Mr. President, your brother, whom you have given the most excellent support that I have seen of any governor in Nigeria. And that is the difference. When you are a mature leader, you know that leadership has no boundary of partisanship. You have proved consistently in your participation in all federal programs, in your own very, very insightful participation in the National Economic Management Team, and in all the other platforms, you have continued to contribute ideas to the federal government, regardless of the differences in party affiliations. So you are an example. We use you as an example to all other leaders in this country. Because when the president succeeds, it's the nation that succeeds. When you succeed here, all people of Anambra will benefit. If you fail, there is no citizen of Anambra that will be happy for it. And therefore, that example you have continued to show maturity in working with the federal government for the success of this country. We come here with gratitude and special greetings from Mr. President, and to reassure you that at the federal level, we will also continue to work with Anambra State to ensure that that partnership also translates to the welfare and development of your state. Thank you. God bless us all.
And I'll say one because you mentioned it. But let me start with gratitude to you in particular and to Ministry of Planning and Office of the SA, to the President of the Performance, and all those who were behind this project. I recall that when you presented this project, most of us wanted to accept it. That's what we did with the peer review mechanism, because we believe, like you said, it is important that we, as a nation, showcase what we're doing for the people. It is important that as a nation, that we don't play politics and showcase governance. I'm one firm believer that we have no other country except this one. We cannot defeat our children in this country the way it is today. We cannot defeat the monarchy. We must defeat them in that place. And for that, I thank you for initiating this. It's true that all of us accepted it, but if you didn't do it, that's why we're talking about ideas. You could have decided to be Minister for Information, and all those who joined would have said, well, we're going to go around all these places and everything. It is not our business. Let's stay back in Abuja and look for what will benefit us in Abuja. We decided to go around. So I thank you, and we're grateful for that. And all the members of the team would have said the same thing. So I thank you for coming here. For us in Anambra State, we want people to visit. We always want people to see what we're doing so they can contribute in helping us through constructive criticism in what we're doing. Last night, I recall and the Attorney General having dinner with two invited guests. And I saw a text on my phone, and I said to them, I must take this text. And they said, but you have their phone and they're ringing, and you're not answering. I said, this is coming from a senior private of a school. that all the secondary school senior prefects have my phone number and I must answer them automatically. She just told me that our both girls in here, their water system, their borehole has gone bad, and for 1 week they don't have water. So I must tell this senior prefect they must have water tomorrow. That is why I'm here. So when I called back the senior prefect and I answered, because they were there putting on speakerphone, and she said to me, Governor, did you see me? And I said, I saw your text. That's why I'm calling you. We're going to send somebody tomorrow morning to fix the water. My daughter, you have no reason to be in school without water. Otherwise, you're wasting our time. So for us, we want to hear from people. We want constructive criticisms. Leadership and learning is inseparable. Once you stop learning, you should stop leading. Because people must tell you. And nobody, we don't know everything. I always say, if you know everything, then you're an idiot. You shouldn't exist. Only God knows everything. So we're learning, and we want to learn. So you welcome that because we want to learn from you. We want to brief you about what we do here. Yes, like you mentioned, I've been a 2-term governor of this state, and the first one, and I thank God for that. But I always tell people, I've only served this state actually for 5 years. I'm just in probably the 6th year. Because as you know, you said it, that after election, all we do is fight. I was sworn in 2006. But in 2006, you remember I was impeached after 6-7 months in office. So if I was impeached after 7 months, that means for the 6 months I was struggling to find my seat. And in 2007 again, I was removed. So I've been removed in office twice. And that means that 2006 and 2007, I wasn't the governor of this place. I was actually struggling. And not because of anything. When I came here, the first thing I found out that I called all the ministries. Can you tell me the long-term, short-term, medium-term plan of the state? Honorable Minister, there was none. And I knew we have a problem. Because if you don't have a plan, you plan to fail. So there was nothing. So I decided to design a plan. In my effort to design a plan, what happened? I found out that I was a driver committed to a better future, but was carrying passengers that have since passed their destination. So they were struggling with them. They wanted to get out of the car. When they found that they couldn't stop me, the only way they could is to push me out. It had to go back to where they used to be. So I suffered that fate. And that was exactly what happened to me for the first time and second time. You described Anambra State. When I came in here, it was a case of where lunatics took over the asylum. I didn't mean this on face. This place where we are today was burnt down completely. The lodge where you came yesterday, Minister, was not there. My predecessor told me, his work, wherever you are, that is where the government has this. And I was in my village, Anambra. For 1 week, that's where everybody was coming. Until I decided, no, it cannot happen. I moved in here and asked the secretary to government to vacate his office. When I came in here, Minister, I had no ADC. There was no policeman guarding this place. This place was being guarded by a group called Anambra Vigilante Service. Then we had the people who were following me all about. Not one policeman and everything. So you can imagine you living and I was announced, I was sitting as a chairman of a bank, and they said, if you want your God case, I drove straight here, I was sworn in, no office, no house. Looking back, people who were guarding me were people in t-shirts with guns. So, in fact, I couldn't sleep. I was awake all night. That was what I meant here. That was the situation. This In 2006, when I resumed office, to redo this place was a budget of 298 million approved by the president. I fixed everything back with 43,200,000. And they said I didn't do it through due process because I was buying the material myself. I was saying in the office. I said, but they budgeted 298 million and this was for 3.2 million. The house that you came yesterday, the budget was 496 million. Approved, you can see the budget. I did it with 86 million. They said they wasn't doing due process. I said, you saw me buying the materials. Because I go to buy the materials myself and fix it. But that is to show you the past of what I meant. But eventually, after the Spring Court interpretation of my tenureship in 2007, I came back and decided we would still walk the path which we designed. We said, what is our vision as a state? Where do we start? In trying to design our vision, Minister, we adopted quickly as our vision Millennium Development Goals. The reason why we adopted, and we're the first state to do that. Why did we do that? We said, since this is what from the UN have been designed, if you achieve it by 2015, you're doing well. Why don't we adopt it as our vision? Having adopted it, it became an issue of, okay, you're choosing your destination. How do you get there? We decided to formulate our own strategy for delivering it. That is what we christened Anambra Integrated Development Strategy, which is just a process that allows us to plan properly across all NGG goals, budget properly, execute the budget, and ensure delivery to the people. We quickly moved our budget from being planning and budgeting, from being supply driven to demand driven. So in this place, I can't do a budget until I've gone around the entire local government as a policy, as the governor of the state. I've taught the entire local government once every 3 months. I must go there, stay with the people, they criticize what we're doing, argue with us. We invite the traditional rulers, the town union heads, the women leaders, and of course the children. On Monday, just this Monday, I had a meeting with the school children, primary and secondary school. The principals, everybody, they must decide what we do. So we moved that budget. With this process, we're able to see the budgetary gap and everything. And then following that NPG, we were able now to look. First, I'm going to give you what that proper vision and planning we've been able to develop. The first NGG goal is to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger. And when you have extreme poverty and hunger, it is not an hunger, maybe not in the rich, but in the hinterland, in the villages, everything. And with this, we first started by doing, since this is the position, let's have statistics. Let's do poverty mapping. Anambra State is the first state in this country to do proper statistics, having them scheduled and backed by law, which both World Bank and previous citizens and given us award for. We're the first state to do proper poverty mapping. I can tell you the poorest area of Anambra, the poorest areas, Anambra West, Ayamelu, Baru area, Orumba South, and all Kano, and when we looked at it, we asked ourselves, why are they poor? What is the greatest thing we can do to ensure that we fight this extreme poverty? We found out one thing in common, Honorable Minister, they lack access. There was no road to their places. And we made a conscious effort. When you go around today, in a local government called Ayamelu, nobody had done a kilometer of road before this government came to be in there. I've completed 40 kilometers of road. In a local government called Anambra West, Honorable Minister, if you have come before this government, you won't get there unless you use canoe. Today, you can drive across a bridge and drive to Imiata, which is in Anambra West. In Oman, same thing. In Oman, you cannot reach a place called Osamama in less than 8 hours. Today you can do it in 45 minutes. I can go on and on, but what we want is for you to see it. You remember last time when I was talking to you, I said, unfortunately, if you insisted on town hall meeting, I don't believe in it. When the people from Guru came, I told them the way we walk here, we enter bus, no police, no security to the market. Let the people in the market say, let's do it with them, because the market is the place where they can tell you the truth. In the way you do meetings, you bring people who will be talking on the other side, but in the market is open, everybody will see. That's what I think with the people in Guru. I said to them, nothing. We enter, but they say, oh, you're secure. They cannot be unsecured by the people who voted for me. They voted for me in the first place. So I don't need the police to guard me because they know what we need. So for us, I want you to go there. I want you to see it. What have we achieved? Before, if you know, to Anambra West, a basket of food used to sell about 2,000. A basket of food in Obano used to sell about 2,000-3,000. Same thing in Ireland. Today, they can get for the same thing 15,000 to 20,000. So you automatically change their earnings and everything. We moved in all this. So while you may not see, whenever people come here and say to them, our business is not to build a flashy capital. Our business is to develop the place. And we are developing the place. I can drive from one end of Anambra State to the other end in 30 minutes. And I can say, Mr. Minister, I have the best road network in this country. I wanted to further to see how to make the poorest person in this state, not the richest person.